What's up, everybody? Greg Chapman here with the Gentleman Gorilla Small Business Marketing Podcast. Today, I am lucky enough to be joined by Andria Schultz, who is the owner of Network Smart. She teaches creatives how to brand themselves so they can network more strategically, and she is also the founding circle member and a board member of the Stan Lee Foundation. You might have heard Stan Lee from small movies such as, I don't know, anything Marvel's fucking made in the last 20 years,
Yeah.
60 years, so
Yeah,
that's pretty
literally.
cool. So, Andrea, take it from here. Can you please tell the people a little bit more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Andria Schultz, everybody. Thank you so much, Greg, for having me on your podcast. It's been a whirlwind of crazy these last couple of months in my life. I'm really excited because I've been impacting and making change in the entertainment industry, not just within, the Stanley Foundation, but also through my course, Network Smart. And the best thing about that is really understanding the heart of why you're doing something that you are, wanting to go after in life. And I think that's something that we're going to be talking about
Mm-hmm.
today. So I'm really
Yeah.
excited to kind of tap into that. So,
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear more about what you're doing with Network Smart. So basically, you're focusing on millennials in the creative industry in general.
that's
So like
right.
actors, artists, musicians, just
Influencers on YouTube, influencers on Instagram, right? The scope
yeah,
is large.
content creators.
Content
Like
creators.
okay, yeah. So I guess I want to hear a little bit more just about Network Smart.
Yeah.
Like what is it? Like how does it work? Like
Yeah, no, honestly, one of the best things about Network Smart is that a lot of creatives come to me, telling me on a day-to-day basis saying, Andrea, I want to be a producer or I want to be an
the
actress or an
Hollywood
actor.
dream,
The
right?
Hollywood dream, right? And we all have dreams. I mean, anything that we do in life, like we're constantly saying, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. But the hardest part about being a creative is finding that foundational piece to help solidify everything so we can become the best creative out there.
Okay. And what do you
And
mean by solidify everything?
so it's kind of like this. So, like Will Smith actually said it really, really well. So imagine life like a brick, right?
Okay.
We have a wall that we're trying to build, right? But that wall can't be built in one day. So we got to work on building and molding that brick.
Okay.
And that's our foundational piece. That's the one thing that helps anchor and keep us focused and do things that we really love to do, right? That we're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
But when that passion is solidified, every single door starts to open. So that's kind of what Will Smith uses as an analogy, right? Is mold that brick, mold it so freaking well that like you have nobody can destroy that little brick, right? So you put that brick down and eventually you basically you can put another brick on top
Mm-hmm.
because it can actually hold on to that foundation. So that's what I basically teach my kids is to really understand like, hey, you know what? If you actually understand what it is that you're advocating for and you're actually going out there and doing things passionately and you're not allowing somebody else in the industry to tell you who you are or who you need to become, then you have built your own power in that industry. And I think that goes so much further than like just saying, I'm going to just take that job just because I want to take that job, right? Or
Okay.
I'm just going to do that ladder system,
So you're
thing.
saying basically, like you're, so it's like, I say one day, like I wake up and you're like, you know what? I was watching YouTube last night
Yeah.
and so just really inspired me. I think that I could be that person someday.
Right.
Like I could do that. And then so like basically this next day this dream is born and they're like, I'm gonna be the YouTube sensation.
Right.
And then from there it's kinda like, all right, well, where do you go next? So you have to start making YouTube videos. But
Mhm.
then you get in and then you're like, oh man, there's all these like uploading a YouTube video is not just uploading it and then pressing, upload and then it's done. Like there's keywords, you have to create a title card, you
Mhm.
need to reference it with other videos, you need to organize it within your own libraries, you need to make little subscribe now buttons. You need to get subscribers. You need to know how to market it and distribute it. Like, it's not hard. So I think what I took from what you say is your bricks is that every brick that you make, like the first brick, if I wanted to become a YouTube star, would be
Right.
learn how to upload a video to YouTube. Like, that's a brick. Like, you learned that talent.
It's
that
the
skill.
actionable steps
Yeah.
that you're talking about, because we all have goals, right? But what people in this industry don't talk about is how to create those actionable steps to help, you know, build an anchor to that goal that we want to create, right? Because even like one of my mentors, I'll never forget this. I was literally 21 actually on set at Disney Channel for a show called I Didn't Do It. And the producer at the time, he was actually one of the producers for Full House. And he sat me down. He goes, Andrea, I know you want to be the next CEO of Disney, right? That's your ultimate dream.
That's a
But
long-term vision.
It's a very long-term vision, but I mean, it's absolutely attainable, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that
Especially if you keep telling everybody, you keep working towards it, and you just take the steps necessary to get there.
100%. And it was funny because he said that to me, but then he also said, right now, you're focusing on producing. So what type of producer do you want to be? And I kind of just looked at him and I said, well, what do you mean by that? And he goes, well, you know, there's associate producer, executive producer, coordinating producer. And he just starts listing all these different types of producers. And I kind of just look at him saying like, oh my gosh, I don't know, right? And I think we all have had those moments where like we think we know what we want to do, but then we don't really understand
Yeah.
what goes behind that. And so he said to me, he goes, Andrea, the reason I say this, and I'm going to tell you what my dad told me. He said, if you do not proclaim who you are or who you want to become in this industry, no one will take you seriously. That hit me really hard at 21 because it was kind of a wake-up call. I was like, oh my gosh, I can be me. I can be authentic. I can create what I want to create, but I have to claim that out to the universe in order for other people to realize that this is ultimately my goal in life, right? And so I teach my students that, you know, yeah, you could be an actress. Yeah, you could be a producer. Absolutely. That's all attainable and that's all achievable. But the question is, where do you want to start now so you can build that foundation and be secure and sure of yourself?
It's so interesting to me that you're sitting here and telling me this process about the entertainment industry, and that is exactly what happens and what I preach to people about any industry, really.
Right.
Is when you're getting started, I explain it as like you might have a whole spear,
Yeah.
but you need a tip to break into the market. You need a very sharp tip. Like, you need to pick one thing to just sell over and over and over again until you break into the market.
Right.
And then you can show them the rest of your spear.
Exactly.
But
That's it.
you can't enter without that very, very fine tip. And it's the sharper it is, the smaller it is, the easier it is to enter.
100%.
Because it's easier to, then it's just a numbers game of just hitting it and hitting it and hitting it until you find who's going to buy. Because it's just one thing. You have a very specific purpose.
Right. And the thing is that, like, sometimes we think, oh, our passions have to be put on hold because we have to start here, right? And there's there's a misconception in the industry that you have to start out as a PA. That's always something that a lot of people in the industry
Coffee
always
bitch.
say. Yeah, and you're like, wait,
We-
why?
we
Like, why
called
am I going to
them
settle?
Gophers, and my first job was construction when I was 14 for my
Yeah.
uncle. And they're like, yeah, you can come work for us, but you're going to be a gopher. Go for this, go for that.
Yeah,
you
do
know?
all of those things,
Yep.
right? And there's nothing wrong with being a PA. It's okay to put yourself in that position. However, don't allow yourself to get comfortable, because the minute you get comfortable is the minute that you give your power away.
Oh, yeah,
And
because you
people
can
do
be a
that all the
PA till the
time.
day you die if you let it be.
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
people that know who they want to be and where they want to go will just walk all over you.
Right.
Because that's where they think, well, that's what they sense you feel that you belong,
Yes.
you know? And if you don't say that you belong somewhere else, no one's ever going to know that you want to be anywhere else.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
and if you're not even sure too, then you're not really understanding who to connect with. And that's where the networking really does come in, because if you are certain of what it is that you're trying to go after, you can understand who to align yourself with when you're on set if you are a PA, right? So, yeah, people are going to talk the talk, but can they really walk the
That
walk?
is so true. After years of networking, just shoe boxes of cards, none of them are worth a shit, you know?
See?
But now, after networking for a long time, and I think more it's like knowing more what I need, like in a day to day thing in order to
Hmm.
further my business. So I know who at the party or event or work, whatever it is, would actually be beneficial.
Right.
So you know, like, who to focus on talking to. Be like, all right, like, I actually need to connect with you.
Right.
Like, I need you. Like, you know, or you need me, whatever the
Vice
situation is.
versa.
But yeah,
Hmm.
like years of networking, like that's basically just practice to me.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think also because you brought up a very solid point, and I really appreciate that you said this, that yeah, networking, you get all these cards, right, all day, every day, and I always tell my students, I'm like, wait, before you even go and talk about yourself, you know, what do you have to bring to the table? What's your intrinsic value? And so those are things that we really go deep, we deep dive. I deep dive with my students, because if that's not clear, set in stone, how can you go out there and be your authentic self? Because on top of that, we can network with anybody all day, every day,
mm-hmm.
right? And by the end of the day, I'm going to be real honest with you guys. Like, nobody really cares about you. They
No,
care about themselves. And so if you give them a reason to care, right?
yeah,
Or you give them a
because
reason to
life's not
trust you,
easy.
yeah,
Life. If you, life is hard for everybody.
it
Like
can be,
it is
yes.
not easy to become successful, and even when you are successful, then
Hmm.
there's just different things to worry about. Like
Absolutely.
if you're not adding, yeah, this is so. If you're not adding value to somebody's life, then you're valueless to them. So somebody, I think I don't remember if somebody said it or if I just read it somewhere, but someone was like, the sad truth to being an adult is if you're not helpful, people don't like you. Like
Right,
if you people will not call you, they will not text you, they will not write you, they will not do anything if you are not in a position to make their lives easier.
right. Yeah.
Like you want a lot of friends as an adult, be helpful to a lot of people. Like you want to grow your business, find a way to be helpful. Like you're absolutely correct. Like
And it's funny that you say that, because, like, Tony Robbins actually says it the best. He said, when you have nothing, give something, right? And so we're all going to get to that point. A lot of us, hopefully not everybody, knock on wood, but a lot of us will hit our lowest point. So, what do you do in that lowest point, right? Are you going to sit there and wallow in that energy, or are you going to actually do something about it and say, you know what? I'm going to go out there and make somebody's day better, because even though my day's not going well, I know that I can go out there and still make a difference. And so that's what I'm really trying to do, is really teach my students that, because that is part of branding. That is part of who you are and what you advocate for.
just so good.
Thanks.
On point. I want you to coach me. I mean, I guess I'm kind of in the entertainment industry now. I have a
You are.
podcast now, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, you should be my coach. Gosh, you're good.
Thank you.
That's just like I don't even have anything to say. You just said it all. You wrapped that up perfectly. Nice little bow. So, so to recap,
Mhm.
Network Smart
Yes.
is you help basically shorten the time from concept of being who they want to be or just that they want to be in the industry
Mhm.
to actually being in the position that they want to be.
Correct.
So there's this path that we all have to walk.
Mhm.
Anybody that's built anything, made anything of themselves and started from nothing knows that pretty much every story is the same. Like
Mhm.
there's certain things that every person needs to learn along the way on
Mhm.
how it works. And you just take that time and shorten it.
That's right. And you know what? It was funny because you actually, like, you triggered something in my mind, because I was just having this conversation with two amazing kids that I met at this coffee shop, and they actually came up to me and they were asking me the same thing, like, so why should I go to school? And I said, look, even when you are going to school, right? Like, in anything that you do in life, we have a reason for what we're trying to do and like create. And so like those classes, right? In the real world experience, it takes 8 years to really truly understand and master that art. All what school does is condenses all those tools into 4 years. That's all what school does. And now it's a matter of whether or not you're going to allow those tools and actually apply those tools into the real world experience. That's all what college does. And that's a really beautiful thing, right? So, like, if we want to take some college classes and actually learn even more, that's all you're doing. You're just acquiring tools to help enhance your brand. And if people actually looked at it that way, as opposed to saying, oh, I don't know if I want to go to college or college isn't necessary. No, college is necessary in a lot of ways because really, would you want to take 8 years to get there? Or would you rather like learn that tool in a short period of
I couldn't
time?
agree more with you. So, like, I went to school because it's what you do. Like, you go to college, like, got
Right.
in, go to college, and then get a job in business marketing, whatever.
Right.
Like, I ended up dropping out, started running a business, and then I had like 30 grand in student loans and not even a degree.
Right.
But I wouldn't trade it back because what was the other option? Working at a restaurant, learning my lessons? No. Like, I got up there, joined the rugby team, joined a fraternity, met everybody in the dorms. You learn how to be social. You learn about rules and order and how to play the political system with
Correct.
the school. I mean, going to school is not easy. And like, not the
No.
classes part. Like, the classes part is its own thing. Like, whatever classes you're taking, like, that's
Right.
your education. The act of going to school is not easy as an 18-year-old because all of a sudden I mean, unless somebody else is writing the checks and you don't even see it,
Hmm.
like, if you have to deal with the school at all, like, you have to organize your class schedule, you have to talk with your counselors, you have to organize your life for the first
That's
time
how
ever.
life
'Cause
is
high
now.
school, they give you your classes, except for
Yeah.
maybe like a couple electives.
Yeah.
And then, so you have to organize your whole life. You have to plan your schedule. If you have to work, you have to plan your classes around your work schedule.
Hmm.
You have to buy your books. You have to pay for your own food and your rent and all of this shit. Like, that is college. Like,
Right.
learning the social dynamics. Like, what's acceptable to do at a party and
Yeah,
what's not.
that's so
Like,
true.
if you didn't go to college,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of people that need to hear this, but a lot of people do shit that's just not acceptable in public when they're drunk.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a safe environment to learn how to get shit-faced and act right, you're never gonna learn. Like,
Well, and not only
you know,
that, it's like you said, yeah, it all relates back to like the real world experience, and that is something that I see lacking in a lot of college students, and I speak at a lot of universities, and one of the things is that they wait until their senior year to actually go out there and apply the tools that they're learning in school, and I always have been that person, freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, senior year, I was not just doing projects within school, I was going out there and creating my own opportunities. That's why I'm at where I'm at today. And I also surrounded myself with the right mentors because you need to have 3 different types of mentors in life. You need to have mental, physical, and spiritual. And it doesn't matter how many you have in each of those categories so long as you have them, right? And I also want to touch on one more thing with school. I'll never forget this. It was freshman year, and I had a professor actually, talk to the class. And he asked all of us, he goes, so what job do you want to get when you get out of school? Or like, what company do you want to work for, right? And I remember just raising my hand in class, and I said, Professor, can I ask you something? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And I said, why do we have to work for somebody else? Why can't we work for ourselves? The whole classroom got silent, and the professor was just like, well, entrepreneurship isn't a real thing. Like, it's just not going to work. Like, most entrepreneurs fail. I said, Professor, can I ask you something? And he said, yes. I said, are you saying that because you were once an entrepreneur? And he said, yes, I was. And I was like, did your business fail? And he said, yes, it did. And I said, so basically what you're telling me is that you're instilling your own fears onto this class. Because you didn't do something doesn't mean that all of us aren't going to. So are you really being fair? in your statement by saying that entrepreneurs cannot be successful. Don't instill your fears or don't reflect the things that are internal to the class. Complete utter silence.
Shit, I just felt that. How long? Whew, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine how many life realizations were running through his head as you were saying that in front of a whole class? And he's just like, fuck. This girl just rocked my world.
Yeah. And it's
Man.
true, right? Because if anything, we project our fears onto others. So your words are extremely powerful.
Especially in that position as a professor to students, they hang on to every word.
Everything. And you know what's funny is that a lot of people don't realize this, and I'm gonna just say this because I am a believer of God, but like there is something that like I truly have realized in my lifetime is that the words I am are extremely powerful. God even said it too in the Bible. He said, I am and I was, right? And then the other thing that he said is he spoke, let there be light, and there was light. So that also goes to say too that our words manifest. So if you say I am not good enough, you're manifesting that. You're projecting that out to other people, right? So those words are extremely important, and if you can be powerful and actually say those
Mm-hmm.
things, that's why it's so important when you are going out there and you are trying to network with people that you are speaking your own truth, that you are reflecting all of these things, to own your power, to have that elephant skin, that tough skin.
That is so true. There's a quote written on our board over here. I don't remember it exactly. It
Yeah.
was by Gandhi, but it's basically your ideas become your thoughts become your words become your actions become who you are.
Ooh. Yeah, Gandhi was very wise when it came to those things. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Uh, could you imagine just being born into this position where they're like, you're our God now?
Yeah.
Like, and you have to lead us to personal freedom and like just enlightenment.
We
And
do
then,
that with ourselves. We have to face ourselves. That's the greatest lesson of life, is facing ourselves and our deepest, darkest parts of who we are. And if we can do that, you can step into your own power.
but the real question is with the Gandhi, and you're right, exactly, and it's on point with what I'm getting to, is they basically chose a child and said, you're going to be the leader of people and you have to free
Right.
minds worldwide. Now,
Mm.
was he actually a reincarnation of some old powerful monk, or was it just a random child? Which that says that you
Mm.
could do that with any single person if you raise them with the right mindset to be thoughtful and mindful of others.
Their actions, everything. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100% with that. I mean, that makes you think about like how much impact you have as a creative. So all the things that we do as creatives, we have to think about, you know, everything that we say, everything that we advocate for, everything that we do, because you are influencing somebody or impacting their life in one shape, form, or another, right?
Mm-hmm.
And John Lee Dumas actually sat down with me and he said to me, it doesn't matter as a creative. I think we get so, wrapped up in this as a creative, but we think, you know what? I'm not impacting enough people. I don't have enough numbers that are following me, right? And it's not about that. It's about whether or not you have one person listening to you in that room, because you've just impacted that person's life and they're going to impact many
Mm-hmm.
thereafter. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, like that's my exact growth strategy for my business.
Right.
Of help positively affect one business and then find the next one and
Mm-hmm.
then find the next one. I'm not trying to get 20 sales at once.
Right. That would
I'm
be
trying
that.
to I'm trying to affect change one at a time,
Right.
because that's just how you have to start anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is, you help one person and then hopefully they go help the next person and then it all comes
Trickles.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it all comes back full circle. All full circle. Thanks for
exactly.
sharing that. That was awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. So I want to get back into the reason why you wanted to start your agency. So I'm
Yeah.
getting the feeling that you kind of always wanted to be an entrepreneur.
always, my whole life. Yeah.
Like since childhood, I'm guessing.
Yeah, 8 years old. Man, I proclaimed to that universe I was going to be the next CEO of Disney. There was no stopping me at that point. Yeah.
Right. So what were the steps? Like, what did you do? Like, when did it start? Like, what spurred you to want to go down this solitary path of running your own business?
Yeah, no, absolutely. To be honest, because I did mold myself that way very young, right? I was just very tenacious.
Mm-hmm.
I had no fear. The only fear that I had growing up was the fear of failure, right? And I remember actually Carlos Hernandez. He's one of the Dodger players back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
He overheard me talking about this with my mom, and he came up to me and he goes, Andrea, by the end of the day, by the end of the day, you're going to have ups and downs in your life, but it's a matter of whether or not you allow those downs to bring you down or you allow those downs to bring you up, right? So I took that with me. And once I kind of like fueled that fire, I knew that I couldn't fail like at anything that I tried to put my mind to. I just kept creating my own opportunity. So that was a huge trigger in me, like continuing the entrepreneur spirit, was that. But even more than that, after working at America's Funniest Home Videos and Disney Channel and The Real Daytime and all these shows, right? I didn't feel like my voice was really truly being heard in this industry, because I wanted to make an impact on a much larger scale, because I saw that there was a disconnect between the millennials, the X generation, and the baby boomers with the way that they articulate and the way that they communicate effectively with one another. Nobody wants to understand each other, and I hope to bridge those gaps through Network Smart by teaching my students the things that they need in order to enhance themselves, right? So before that even came into fruition, um, I was I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go isolate myself and like meditate. And I remember going up to Canada and I was just like surrounded by these leaves and the trees and just all these amazing, like the atmosphere is just gorgeous. And I asked myself this one question. Said, what is the number one question that I've been asked consistently throughout my life? And the reason that came into my mind was because through our past shows the future. Like our past experiences show the future. And we just have to be willing to listen to what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I kind of took that into heart, I remember two things manifested.
Okay.
The first question that came to mind was, how did you break into the entertainment industry? And the second one was, how did you connect with the people that you're connected with? And that helped me realize in that time that this entire time, my whole entire life, I had been helping others break in and figure out what their greatest potential was and help them figure out their paths to get to where they are. And that made me feel happy inside. And I felt like this light of passion. And that was a spark that I was like, wait a second. This is what I could wake up doing every single day, because I know that I'm going to receive messages saying, Andrea, thank you so much for helping me find my greatest potential. Or Andrea, thank you so much for, helping me get into the industry. Or thank you so much, Andrea, for helping me not commit suicide. I want to hear that every day, because if I don't hear that, then I know I didn't do my job. And so we all as creatives have to find that trigger, that driving force that helps us wake up every day. It's not the fame. It's not anything that's materialistic. It's the heart of why you're doing what you're doing.
Okay. That's a really, really good reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I stumped you. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's just a really well articulated answer. So, I mean, I think I'm just kind of processing it still. I think I'm going to give them a little bit of time to process with you. So, I mean, you kind of just rocked my whole understanding of what it means to be um, like a popularized, influential person. Like,
Right.
not necessarily like a business leader or a political leader, but somebody that has influence within households.
Right.
Within the average person. And that, because fame does come with power, and with great power comes great responsibility.
Ooh, who said that?
Weird.
Ooh, was that Stan Lee?
It was.
Whoa, would
Uncle
you look at
Ben,
that?
rest in peace. Stan Lee, rest in peace. You guys, Uncle Ben and Stan Lee are just kicking it together up
They
there.
are, man.
You know? God,
You
probably,
just know it.
they're best friends.
They're
You know
laughing
they
at
are,
us
right?
down here. They're like, ooh. Yeah.
But yeah, and so like I've like to be like honest, like I just started doing these podcasts recently, and just in the last couple weeks I've started getting these types of messages,
Mm-hmm.
and finding that I'm affecting people, and it's definitely
It's
kind
beautiful.
of it's awesome, and wasn't my intention, but I'm happy that I can be helping people, which I mean I guess it kind of is my intention, because
You
the
have
intention of my
purpose.
business is to help other businesses.
Right, exactly.
So, but I didn't expect it to be like that, but it was almost like overnight, like a switch kind of got flipped with my public perception, and now all of a sudden I do have this voice, and even just one person writing me and being like, thank you for something.
Mm-hmm.
And so I totally get what you're saying about how they do have a powerful voice, and even just being able to affect one person gives you a reason to keep doing what you're doing. And
Yeah.
so you just showed me like a whole new world of what it means to be um, an influential celebrity media creative person. And it's only within the last week that I could have possibly understood that, like truly understood it.
Hey,
You
man,
know?
that's God working his magic. I was supposed to
It
be
is.
sitting here face to face with you this week and not last week.
Absolutely were. And
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely happened in the last week.
Mm,
So,
that's beautiful.
I mean, that's crazy to think about that, like, and that almost puts like a weight on your shoulders with the people that you work with, like your
Yeah.
clients, because you
Yeah.
have to make sure that they understand that. Because I feel like mental health and being in front of the spotlight cannot be easy. Like, having everything scrutinized, every word that you say publicly, every action. If somebody takes a picture of you in the wrong frame, like you're accidentally flipping them off when really you're like halfway to like closing your finger around something.
Right.
Like they're flipping somebody off. Like before you know it, then you're in a fight with some random celebrity that happened to be on the other side of the street that you've never even met, and then you're
Right.
like, cool, my whole reputation's ruined. Like you have to be so careful, because there's people out there making money on ruining you,
Mm-hmm.
or they just want to get attention or whatever. And so just I guess teaching them to focus on the good and doing good to get good back, like for their own souls, like that has to weigh heavy on you, like knowing that like it's almost kind of your responsibility to teach them that side of the industry.
It really does. It really does. And I know we were talking about this a little bit earlier, and that was I mean, it was a huge wake up call for me, you guys. I remember, I'll share the story again. I was on this app, and I just remember um, I had just gotten out of a relationship around that time, and I just wanted to give back, right? That was exactly that Tony Robbins saying, right? I just wanted to give back. But through that process, I started gaining a lot of traction. Like I ended up getting like 20,000 followers, right? I had all this power like in my hands, right?
Yeah.
And when I started getting like all these messages like, oh, you helped me get my anxiety out. Like, thank you so much for hearing me out. Like, this really means a lot to me. I realized that my words that I was speaking at that time, I was saying it in a way that was real as I could possibly get, but I personally wasn't believing myself. I wasn't believing my own truth of what I was saying. So I realized as an influencer, I was not doing my job, and I was being a huge disservice to my audience because I personally was not there. And so I chose at that time to completely just go away, and I went silent for a whole year that was a really tough year, you guys. I'm not gonna lie, but
Yeah.
here I am now. Like I feel that I have so much self-love. I'm ready to give that out to the world again. And you're absolutely right. Like it is a huge weight on the shoulder. And I think even let's use Stan Lee as an example, okay? Like he was a legend. He wasn't just famous, like he was a
Yeah.
legend. And there's a huge difference between being a legend and being famous. And so you have to decide from the beginning as a creative, what is my true intention with the things that I'm doing? Is it for selfish reasons or is it selfless? Right? So we
Hmm.
constantly have to think about those questions, and that's what I challenge my students to do. And I can pinpoint that real fast. Like I can tell when somebody's being genuine. I can tell when they're not being authentic. And I really challenge them with that. And the reason why I use Stan Lee as an example is because Stan Lee, his whole intention was to help children read. I mean, and he did that. He created comic books, and I mean, the cutest story that I have heard, and I kid you not, like now that I'm, doing the founding member stuff here, I've gotten people coming up to me and saying, Stanley was my dad, and they never had even met Stanley in person. That was so beautiful. I
But
mean, it gives me
but the
chills
kids
just
spent
talking about
more
it.
time in the comic books than with their dad, I'm guessing, something like that. Like,
They made him, he
because
made the kids relate.
superheroes always had values.
Yes,
Like it was good versus bad, and it
true.
was like the most famous quote ever. Like we said it a few minutes ago. With
Yeah.
great power comes great responsibility. Like that is literally the basis of every superhero
Yes.
and anti-hero, and just it's all about the balance and
And everything, but you know what was so different about Stanley's characters? He was somebody that was able to show that relatability
the
between
human side.
the human side, and that's what makes his,
They were fallible.
yes, that's what makes his characters so beautiful. And and those are the things, like we all go through struggles in our life, and so if we can relate to that, that's literally like the message that I received just hearing, like, Stan's stories throughout the years, but now even more so working behind the scenes to help keep his legacy moving forward. That's what I'm also wanting to keep alive, is that spirit,
Hmm.
because he's not gone. He's still here. He's still making an impact in life. And like you said earlier, great, responsibility is like the biggest power
Yeah.
here, and I have a huge responsibility on my shoulders to make sure that that comes through for him, because he has no voice right now. We are his voice as the Stanley Foundation. And with that being said, that's why he's a legend, because he's impacting people's lives. He's making people think about their actions and the way that they act with others and themselves, right? And fame came secondary. It all what it did was just enhance his legacy. That's all
Hmm.
what fame does, and that's all what fame should do. Right?
That
So,
yeah. I mean, it should just amplify the
everything.
power of your voice.
Hmm.
And if you're using the wrong voice, then man, you have a very interesting life.
Thanks.
This is a very I'm really enjoying this podcast. I'm really enjoying learning your story and the effect that you're having on the planet.
Thank you. Yeah,
You're
I'm really
welcome.
excited.
So I want to learn more about like what's next for Network Smart. Like where are you trying to take it? How are you trying to grow it?
Oh man, I honestly, I my full intention this year is to go full force. Like I want to
Okay.
take this to the masses. I want to go nationwide with this movement, because it is a movement. It's not just about um, you know, building a community of other millennials and creatives, but it's about being um, real in what you do and helping others through your actions. And that's what I hope to utilize Network Smart as, is really, really changing the heart of people's intentions with the
Okay.
things that they're doing. So that's really what I want to do this year, is I really want to go and impact in that capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, where are you at right now? So I'm guessing you're basically operating out of like San Diego, LA area,
Yes.
because that's the hub, obviously.
Oh, LA. Yeah.
So what is your strategy to take it nationally? Like, how do you plan to take it from LA to expand your reach nationally?
So what's really interesting, and this is the beauty about Network Smart, is that it's not just in LA. Like it's been expanding nationwide already, just even from the beginning, because really Hollywood is dying. The reason why I say that is because there's a plethora of opportunities now with all of the, streaming companies that are coming into the woodworks. There's a ton of like writing opportunities now here in San Diego, which is incredible. Production is way too expensive in LA. And so a lot of the students that I have usually contact me from like Florida or New York, New Jersey, all parts of the US, and they're all part of the community. And that's what's really cool about Network Smart, is that it's all online. You can learn all of that, and you can do and create your own opportunity from home. Because it
Okay.
really does start from home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some of the most influential people that we have in America right now are YouTube or Instagram sensations, which
Yeah.
they can be coming from Georgia,
Yep.
Ohio, Utah, and then before they know it, well, probably after years and years of hard work and slave labor, basically, yourself to create content,
Yeah.
and they have 10 million followers.
That's
Like,
right.
and then, I mean, like, look at Logan Paul. Like, God, who
Exactly.
doesn't want to smack that guy in the mouth? But he has so many followers. Like now he just starts talking shit to people and picks fights with them and then goes and boxes them. But you know who shows up? Justin Bieber shows up, rappers show up, other
Yeah.
artists show up, actors show up, and
Hmm.
just they stream it. Like he made himself a celebrity from his bedroom.
Correct. Yeah,
Like
you don't have
he's
to
one of the
be.
most influential people in America right now,
Yep.
and he's just a 22-year-old guy that I would have liked to get drunk with in college. Like that's exactly who
Hey, the
he
truth
is,
comes out.
you know? But
Oh, you're
that's the
funny.
power of the internet.
It's true. Yeah, it's very true. And that's what I want people to realize, is that they don't have to wait for the opportunity to be handed to them. You can go out there and create anything from nothing. And that's the beauty. And I think you can even relate to this like
Hmm.
with your podcast. Now you realize that the podcast is going to help like expand, right? So like for me in the beginning, what really helped me expand was I was interviewing celebrities and executives and professionals. I don't know everything, you guys. I'm going to be so real and honest with you guys, but I am an expert at one, but also many at the same time. And I do have to utilize professionals to come in areas that I know I may not know everything
Hmm.
about. And that's okay. That's totally
Yeah,
fine.
and that's the beauty of living in the information age and the connectability
Correct.
that we have to be able to reach out to these people. Like you can just, if it's something you can Google it
Mm-hmm.
like that. You find the answer. If it's something that, or you need to find somebody that knows the answer, again, Google.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just pull out your iPhone and go through your 5,000 connects and be
Yeah.
like, all right, where's Max Schultz? There it is.
There he is.
Like call him, be like, hey, remember that one time that we met? Like, I remember you said you do this. Like,
Mhm.
can you help me?
Right.
You couldn't do that
Yeah.
10, 15, 20 years ago. Like, it's such a different era of connectability. Like, now you almost just need to become efficient at finding the answers.
Yes.
Whereas before, you had to know a lot of shit because it was just a pain in the ass to go do stuff. And if you own your own business, you know that your time is
Maxed
fleeting.
out.
Like before you know it, the day's over. And if you didn't accomplish a bunch of stuff, like your business isn't growing.
Correct.
And so if you had to spend half your day researching just how to do a thing,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a half a day gone. But so you had to know a lot of stuff. But now it's, I don't know how to do that. Google it. Like 10 minutes, done. Like, cool, we found a plan. All right, step by step, you just follow the video. How do
Actionable
we do
steps.
this? Within
Mm-hmm.
an hour, you have a solution done. Versus before, maybe a few days. Maybe you had to write letters to people. Be like, hey, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the speed of medicine and cures now and scientific discoveries is insane.
Oh, it's quick.
Because like think about like if you were working on a vaccine for a specific virus.
Right, the
And
coronavirus.
yeah, for example. And then you're like, okay, like there's a specific protein structure within this virus. And then you're like, I remember going to a conference and I heard about this guy in Sweden that's working with a similar protein structure, like within DNA or whatever. And then you used to have to be like, write the letter, send
Yeah.
it to Sweden, like from Ohio to Sweden, or try to get a phone. Like you'd have to look up their phone, like where is he located? What's his office? Is he
Hmm.
even in Sweden? Like
Hmm.
how long do you think that would have taken to find this one doctor?
Oh, a
And
long
then
time.
now you just hop online. Dr.
But
Allen, like boom,
I'm
and
going
then
to
you're
say
like direct
something to
phone call.
that. I'm going to say something to that because it was interesting. When I went to go speak at the university, a kid said, "Well, why is networking important?" And I said, "Well, he goes, why can't I just like go on Instagram and just like connect with all these people?" And I said, "That's great and all, but your intention, right, is to just connect as what? A fan." So like when you are connecting with somebody on Instagram, if you want to work with them, right? Yeah, you can connect with anybody all day, every day, but can you do business?
Hmm. Can you actually have a productive conversation?
Correct.
And that's such a big difference too. Like if you're reaching out just blindly, like it's I don't know if you've ever done sales. Well, you kind of
Oh,
do
I
sales
did.
every day. You're a business owner. Every day is
Yes,
selling.
all day.
But the cold leads and warm leads,
Yeah.
like the difference in reception that you get from people if you're just blindly reaching out to them and being like, "Oh, hey, random person, like I'm so and so, help me with this or buy
Yeah,
this from me,"
they're not
or
gonna do it.
if it's something where there's an intention behind it and they go into it kind of knowing that what you're bringing to the table might be beneficial. And people even love if they just know that they're going to be helping another person sometimes.
Totally,
Be like,
totally.
you're of no benefit to their life, but they know that they're going to be benefit to your life, which gives their life purpose and meaning,
Yes.
which helps them be happy and more fulfilled.
Yes.
So as long as that's there, like then that's the point of the networking, like meeting and like
100%.
knowing like it's a real person, not just someone trying to waste my time.
Yes, exactly. And have you ever seen that statue in Thailand? There's actually one where it goes like this. It's kind of like your hands out like this.
I haven't.
Okay, so what it means is this hand is out receiving,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And then this hand is taking. So it's like giving and taking. So like that's really really important, right? In life
Mhm.
is that we are supposed to give, but we're also it's okay to receive. And some of us don't know how to receive. We don't know how to say yes, I need help.
Yes, that is so true.
And it's okay.
And
You can
it's
totally ask for help.
yeah, so and then it even goes deeper than that. I've recently one of my friends, she's a yoga instructor, like
Yeah.
totally connected with the universe and stuff. But she just randomly messaged like a whole bunch of people on WhatsApp and she's like, "Hey, I'm going to do this 21-day Deepak Chopra
Mm.
practice for self-abundance." And so it's just, and I'm only a couple days in, but basically you meditate and then on a certain point, and
Mhm.
then the first steps are like breaking down walls towards abundance, which is basically saying that you're open to receive anything and
Right.
everything, um, and to break down those walls and those blocks that are
Mm.
stopping people in the universe and life to just give you what you need.
Right.
So just learning how to, like even after just a couple of days of doing it, like learning how to break down these walls. And like this is something I've kind of been working on for a long time. Like, yeah, let's open myself up, be more mindful. Like when you pay bills, like no, it's be thankful that you have the money to pay the bills. Don't bitch about the fact that you have to pay a bill. Like the
Absolutely.
little mindset changes,
Mhm.
and like to bring money in
Mhm.
and like actually run like a profitable business. Like you need to have be aware of how you are with abundance.
I love that you touched on all of those points because it's so true. It is about that thought process. It is being conscious of those things, and that's what makes Network Smart different from a lot of the other companies out there that are teaching people how to break into the entertainment industry,
Hmm.
because there's a ton of them out there, right? But it's all about mind, body, and spirit. Are you aligned with yourself? And you just touched on it extremely well because if you are a creative that is not in tune with yourself, right? You can be pulled from left to right.
Hmm. If
Easy.
you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so I think that's really powerful that like you have taken the time to really do that self-healing and to really be aware of the things that you are saying and the things that you are culminating and putting into your life, because you're right, absolutely. Like we can be ungrateful,
Yeah.
for the things that we have in our life. And we have a choice to react the way that we want to react. We have a choice to make our day great. We have a choice to be kind to those that may be not kind to us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's totally okay if you're okay being comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. God, it couldn't be better said better. I loved everything that we talked about. I'm definitely going to want to have you back on at some point.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to.
Can you tell the people where to find you, your website,
Sure.
social media handles, emails, whatever you want?
Sure. Okay, so you guys can follow me at www.andria, Andria, Schultz, Schultz.com. So it's andriaschultz.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram. I'm always posting a ton of things for empowerment, business tips and tricks, all about Network Smart behind the scenes, Stanley Foundation, on Instagram. So that handle is at Andria, Andriac, and then Schultz.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you.
So much good wisdom.
Awesome.